At midnight on December 31st, 2025, while fireworks light up the sky and champagne corks pop across California, a century-old giant quietly dies in the shadows. No press conference, no announcement, no farewell. Just the silent shutdown of Phillips 66's Wilmington refinery, erasing 139,000 barrels of daily fuel production forever. But here's the twist. This isn't just a business decision. It's a brutal showdown between big oil and California's green ambitions, leaving behind skyrocketing gas prices, lost jobs, and a toxic underground lake poisoning the future. If you've ever wondered why your gas bill feels like robbery, stick around because today, we're diving deep into the real story behind Phillips 66's exit from California after 106 years. This is the untold war that could change everything for drivers, workers, and the Golden State itself. Phillips 66 first set foot in California back in 1919, drawn by a state desperate for fuel production. They built refineries in Wilmington and Carson, starting operations in 1919 and 1923, right in the heart of what would become one of the world's busiest regions. For over a century, these facilities churned out the lifeblood of modern life: gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. So, sitting just 15 miles from Los Angeles International Airport, the fifth busiest on the planet, handling 88 million passengers annually, Phillips 66 produced 65,000 barrels of diesel and jet fuel every single day, fueling thousands of flights, from cargo haulers bringing goods from Asia to family vacations across the country. They were one of North America's largest refiners of aviation fuel, serving private, commercial, and even military needs. But it wasn't just the skies they powered. Next door is the Port of Los Angeles, the busiest in the Western Hemisphere. Cargo ships, trucks, cranes, all running on fuel from this refinery. Every day, 85,000 barrels of gasoline rolled out, accounting for about 8% of California's total refining capacity. CEO Mark Lashier himself called the property unique and strategically located near the port. He knew exactly what California was giving up. So, why on earth would a profitable giant like Phillips 66, raking in $7 billion in profits in 2023 and $8.2 billion the next year, walk away from this gold mine? They didn't go bankrupt. They chose to leave. And the timing is suspiciously perfect. Fast forward to December 31st, 2025, the official closure date. They announced it back in October, vaguely citing the fourth quarter, and picked the very last day of the year to let it die quietly. Think about that. While news outlets run year-in-review stories, politicians sip eggnog on vacation, and regulators clock out for the holidays, Phillips 66 slips away with maximum impact and minimum scrutiny. The refinery stopped processing crude oil on October 16th, turning into a zombie operation for over 2 months, producing nothing, just bleeding cash. Workers showed up daily, dismantling the very machines that fed their families. And at midnight, 139,000 barrels per day of capacity vanished forever. This refinery survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the oil embargoes of the 1970s, the 2008 recession, earthquakes, mergers, and booms and busts galore. It processed oil through 106 years of history. But what it couldn't survive is California's regulatory hammer. Lashier called it a challenged asset with uncertain long-term sustainability affected by market dynamics. Corporate speak for, "We're done fighting your rules." But read between the lines, and it's clear, California made it impossible to stay profitable. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the hidden battles shaping our energy future, please hit that subscribe button right now. It really helps the channel grow and motivates us to keep bringing you more eye-opening videos like this one. Alright, let's keep going, because the backstory gets even juicier. Remember June 2022? Gas hit a record $6.43 a gallon statewide, with some stations topping $7, while the national average hovered under $5. Then it happened again in September 2023, $6.80 a gallon, over $6.70 in LA. The culprits, according to state investigators, are refineries shutting down for maintenance without stockpiling enough fuel, creating artificial shortages that let oil companies pocket billions. That 2023 spike alone cost drivers $2.2 billion extra. Sacramento had enough. On October 14, 2024, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill X2-1 into law. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it gave regulators unprecedented power. Now, the state can dictate how much gasoline refineries must keep in storage at all times and even decide when they can shut down for maintenance. No more surprise outages leading to price explosions. The government straight up accused refiners of engineering shortages for profit, while the oil industry flipped the table. Just 48 hours later, October 16, 2024, Phillips 66 announced the closure. That's not a coincidence. A spokesperson parroted the CEO's vague line. Multiple factors, including long-term sustainability and market dynamics. No mention of the new law, no nod to Sacramento. But industry groups like the California Fuels and Convenience Alliance had warned lawmakers for months. This bill would drive refineries out. Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher didn't mince words. Thanks to Gavin Newsom's showboating and incompetence, hundreds of workers will lose their jobs while California drivers face massive price hikes. The California Energy Commission spun it positively, calling the closure a step forward in the shift to cleaner energy. They praised Phillips 66 for committing to minimize impacts, meaning the company promised to import fuel from elsewhere. Not produce it locally, just buy and resell. Sacramento called that a creative solution. While eliminating 8% of the state's gasoline supply isn't progress, it's a recipe for disaster. But this wasn't the start of Phillips 66's beef with California. It was the grand finale of a years-long war. Let's talk about the courtroom drama. In 2024, a California judge labeled Phillips 66 reprehensible, his exact words. He called them an oil and gas behemoth that abused its power. This wasn't for pollution or safety slips, it was for stealing trade secrets from a small Sacramento company called Propel Fuels, turning them into a billion-dollar business. One of the 5 largest trade secret verdicts in U.S. history, $833 million in damages. Here's the shady deal. In 2017, Phillips 66 approached Propel, a startup that had spent 13 years pioneering renewable fuels in California. They had the tech, data, locations, and regulator ties Phillips needed to thrive in the green market. Phillips signed a confidentiality agreement, got full access to Propel's secrets under the guise of a buyout. Then, in August 2018, they ghosted, killed the deal on a Friday with no explanation. Come Monday, they announced their own renewable fuels venture, using everything Propel shared. Propel sued, and the jury nailed them for willful and malicious theft, $605 million compensatory, plus $228 million punitive. Phillips 66 appealed, but the damage to their rep was done. This is the same company claiming their exit was purely business. Then there's California's environmental squeeze. The low-carbon fuel standard demands refiners cut fuel's carbon intensity by 20% by 2030, or buy expensive credits from greener competitors. It's like a green tax. Add the cap-and-trade program, pay for every ton of emissions. Industry estimates peg these costs at 54 cents per gallon, pure overhead, unrelated to oil, labor, or ops. Phillips 66 tried adapting. They converted their rodeo refinery in the Bay Area to renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel, ditching gasoline production. They shuttered Santa Maria in 2023. Now Los Angeles makes 3 facilities closed or converted in 5 years. They're not evolving, they're evacuating. And the legacy they're leaving is a nightmare. Under that 650-acre site lies an underground lake of hydrocarbons, 13 feet deep in spots, spanning 6 million square feet. From the mid-20th century to 1977, workers dumped truckloads of slop oil, acid sludge, and waste straight into unlined pits. No questions asked back then. But now the groundwater is laced with benzene at 900 times safe limits, PFAS forever chemicals, lead that spreads 3 miles out, and tertiary butyl alcohol, which has already been found in residential wells half a mile away and is linked to kidney and liver damage. They've pumped this toxic soup since the 1980s, but it's unyielding. Phillips 66 earmarked $231 million for cleanup, up from an earlier $70 million estimate. Experts like environmental consultant and Alexander Scoff, that covers zilch for groundwater remediation, soil removal, or PFAS extraction, which is near impossible. The real cost is billions over decades. And Phillips 66 will be a ghost by then. Even worse, developers, Catellus and Deca companies plan to transform this poison plot into 5 Points Union, 400,000 square foot retail, 6 million square foot warehouses, a town center with outdoor dining, soccer fields for kids, all atop benzene-soaked soil. They promise safety, but remember the carousel tract, Shell-built homes on old oil tanks there. Families still battle health issues and contamination lawsuits 20 years on. History repeating. Now zoom out. What did California really lose at midnight on December 31st? Specifically from Wilmington, 70,000 barrels per day gasoline with 13% of SoCal's needs. Enough for 1.4 million cars daily. 40,000 barrels per day diesel with 29% of LA counties. Fueling 50,000 big rigs round trip to Vegas. Plus jet fuel for lax. Gone. Irreplaceable, since no one builds refineries in California anymore. Jobs, 600 employees and 300 contractors pink-slipped. No farewell, no party, despite Phillips 66's $8.2 billion profits. Some families span 3 generations here. These aren't transferable skills. You can't run a catalytic cracker at Starbucks. Workers spent months dismantling their livelihoods, knowing the end game. And the broader picture is California's refinery death spiral. Marathon's Martinez closed in 2020 with 161,000 barrels per day. Phillips Rodeo converted and 120,000 barrels per day gasoline lost. And now Wilmington. Valero's Benicia slated for April 2026 with 145,000 barrels per day. And total in 5 years, over 550,000 barrels per day erased. That's 35% of capacity. 0 replacements built. And results are imports from India, South Korea, Washington. Each tanker adds 50 cents per gallon. California requires special carbob blend that few refineries make it. Shipping from Asia, 30 cents per gallon extra, plus emissions from bunker fuel burning ships. Ironic for a green state. UC Davis economists predict $5 per gallon permanent by summer 2026, optimistically. One disruption, fire, storm, delay, and prices hit $7, $8, even $10. Or worse, shortages. California needs 900,000 barrels per day gasoline. Post-closures, it refines only 700,000. That 200,000 barrel gap will be imports, if they arrive. Otherwise, dry pumps, bagged nozzles, no gas signs, like the 1970s, but with half the refineries. The math's brutal. Each closure hikes costs for survivors via shared infrastructure. Pipelines like San Pablo Bay are losing customers, bleeding $2 million per month. When Valero closes, it shuts entirely and trucking adds $2 per barrel. Terminals like Marine Terminal 121 in Long Beach are doomed at 30% capacity. Survivors face building their own or folding. Governor Newsom touts a clean energy future, eyeing 2035 zero-emission car mandate. But the transition is half-baked. Phillips 66 endured wars, depressions, crises, but not Sacramento. Last year's market dynamics masks retaliation. 2 days post-bill signing, they bail. Not coincidence, it's a message. So, who won? Phillips 66 cashes out. CEO last year pocketed $19 million last year. Board sold stock at peaks. And workers jobless. Environment poisoned, cleanup on taxpayers. Drivers, higher prices forever. California, less secure than pre-World War II, imports dependent, and vulnerable. As January 1, 2026 dawns, the state's energy poverty deepens. Refineries die, imports falter, politicians vacation. The company profits, contamination lingers, gas explodes. Happy New Year is more like wake-up call. This isn't one refinery's end, it's California's fuel future crumbling. If you made it this far, you get it. Big oil versus green dreams, and everyone's paying. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and drop your thoughts below on who really lost here. See you next time.